Tiny was a very small mouse. He lived in a very small house. The house was under the kitchen stairs. It was warm and cozy. Tiny liked it very much. Tiny had a little bed of cotton balls. He had a tiny table and chair. His dishes were made of acorn caps. Everything was just the right size for Tiny. Each morning, Tiny woke up early. He stretched his tiny paws high above his head. He wiggled his nose. It was time for his favorite part of the day, tea time. Tiny put on his little apron. It had a pattern of tiny strawberries. He went to his cupboard. He looked at his collection of tea leaves. Tiny had many different tea leaves. He had peppermint tea, he had chamomile tea. Today he wanted something fruity. Ah, there it was. A jar labelled berry blend. Tiny sniffed the jar. It smelled sweet and delicious. This was the perfect tea for a lovely day. Tiny put the tea leaves in his teapot. Now he needed hot water. Tiny climbed on a stool to reach the stove. It was very high up. He stretched as high as he could. His nose almost touched the kettle, but he still couldn't reach the handle. What could he do? Section 5. The kettle's whistle. Tiny thought for a moment. Then he saw the sugar spoon. He took a deep breath and pushed the spoon with all his might. Clang! The spoon hit the kettle. It swung back and forth. Finally, steam came pouring out of the spout with a whistle. The water was ready. Section 6. A drop of honey. Tiny carefully poured the hot water into his teapot. He watched the steam curl and dance in the air. Then he added a drop of honey. He stirred it with his smallest spoon. Tiny liked his tea very sweet. He took a deep breath and smelled the warm, sweet aroma. Section 7. Tiny's cozy corner. Tiny carried his teapot to his little table. He sat in his tiny chair. It was covered in a soft red cushion. He poured the tea into his favorite teacup. It was painted with tiny blue flowers. Everything was perfect. Section 8. A warm feeling. Tiny took a sip of his tea. It was warm and sweet. It tasted like sunshine and berries. He closed his eyes and sighed. Drinking tea always made Tiny feel happy. It was a moment of peace and quiet. It was a moment just for him. Section 9. Time for dreams. Tiny finished his tea. He felt warm and content. He thought about the day ahead. Maybe he would go for a walk in the garden. Maybe he would read a book. Whatever he did, he knew it would be a good day because it started with a perfect cup of tea.